The streets of New Capenna are an unholy den of vice and debauchery, but that wasn't always the case. At one point in its history, angels filled the skies of New Capenna, and things didn't look quite so much like Gangs of New York. Fantastic movie, horrible way to live.
What's that word?
It means body snatchers.
I didn't ask the meaning, I asked the word.
Hey guys, Simon here for the Aether Hub, bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. New Capenna has an angel problem. Well, an angel and a story problem. The entire Streets of New Capenna storyline has been out for a while now, and I've taken some time to digest it and figure out what I liked and didn't like about it. And there's this one aspect that I keep returning to, this one thing that I keep focusing in on that just rubs me the wrong way. And that's the appearance of angel cards in the set itself, and how they reflect on the story that was presented to us. And while this may seem like an insular problem for just this particular set, I think that it's a problematic trend that's been following the Magic story team for a while now. So today in this video, guys, let's dissect the New Capenna storyline and figure out why angels are so problematic and how it could have been handled better. First, let's take a look at the issue itself. The issue being the 9 angel cards printed in the Streets of New Capenna set. From common to mythic rarity, these angels bring a lot of great variety to the play environment of this set. But the problem is, they just shouldn't exist, at least from a lore perspective. To provide a little context, and if you want to understand the full story, I suggest you watching my entire Streets of New Capenna story recap linked on your screen now or in the description below. But the short TLDR version is that the city of New Capenna was created by an alliance between the angels and demons of the greater overall plane. Together they founded this city as a safe haven from the outside threat that was looking to destroy the entire plane. We later find out that this ancient threat were in fact the Phyrexians, who had taken root on New Capenna's plane and was winning the war. Angels, of course, were on the front lines with the mortal races to push back the Phyrexians, but their holy might wasn't enough to stem the tide. They were losing. Still, their sacrifice and courage had then, and since, been immortalized by the plane inhabitants in statues and works of art depicting their noble acts of defiance. Still, the people wanted to very much not die, and even the angels were willing to bend morality a bit to save the plane. So they made a deal with demons. Typically, demons and angels seldom see eye to eye, but even the demons knew that the Phyrexians would likely spell the end of this plane. And even if it was out of self-interest, the demons agreed to help. Together they created New Capenna, a city sheltered from the utter destruction occurring throughout the rest of the plane. Insulated from the slaughter, efforts continued to rid their world of the Phyrexians, and finally together some victories were won. But of course, trusting demons is always a bit of a gamble. As demons tend to do, they lied to the angels, and at the first opportune moment, betrayed them. They used dark magic to encase the angels in stone, creating a series of statues throughout the city. But that wasn't the end of their betrayal. While trapped, the demons siphoned off the angels' essence and used it as a weapon against the Phyrexians, now no longer wanting to lose this fresh world they had just conquered. This essence became known as Halo, which is really important to the plot of the story, acting in a sense as a precious drug-type substance that's bartered, bought, and even killed over. It gives the drinker increased strength, vitality, and a sense of divine purpose. It's this halo that enhanced the mortals of the plane to finally push out the Phyrexians. Still, the devastation to the plane was immense, and only the isolated city of New Capenna remained, now filled with the statues of angels. The demons then went on to found the 5 criminal families and imbue the heads of these families with demonic powers. They would continue to run the city in their stead, as the demons just vanish. Taking a look at the angel cards themselves, they have a rather unique design to them when compared to traditional angels. They're almost artificial in a way, much like the angels on the plane of Kaladesh, but more subtle. Their wings are like stone slabs, perhaps a lasting reminder of their statue prisons. This is a great piece of design. Other angels have wings of stained glass, implying maybe that they're the living embodiments of artisans throughout the city. This is the dodgy bit though. If the angels were all encased in stone, why do 9 of them appear in the set at all? From a story perspective, they would all be statues, right? Well, almost. There is some wiggle room because in the official story, the angels are actually released. But this, in fact, confuses things further. In the Streets of New Capenna storyline, we follow a young, meek girl who is being hunted by the crime families for her unique ability to create Halo out of nothing. She was a font for this precious material. Elspeth was on her own mission, and in that she found the scared girl and protected her. At the end of the story, it's revealed that this unassuming girl is an angel herself, and in reuniting with some of her kin trapped in stone, she releases all the angels from exile. She turns to a ball of light and is whisked away with other balls of light to never be involved with this story ever again. So the angels were freed, albeit in a ham-fisted and rushed manner. So why are angel cards in the set a problem? The problem is that the cards that depict angels in New Capenna seem to be a snapshot of the future of the city, rather than anything that actually occurs in the story proper. It's like a glimpse of a prologue when we know there's no prologue actually coming. Let's look at Metropolis Angel, with the flavor text spoken by Elspeth reading, quote, "Angels are living proof that power does not always lead to corruption." This line is not spoken at any point in the story because outside of this young girl who wasn't revealed to be an angel until the very end, Elspeth doesn't interact or even mention anything about angels in New Capenna. This card implies that Elspeth perhaps witnessed some bravery or act of charity on part of the New Capenna angels that seemed to redeem the city of its corruption, but that just doesn't exist in the story. Angelic Observer has the text, quote, "Still and solemn as the statues of her kind that decorated the Park Heights rooftops, she gazed down in sorrow on the city below." This card and flavor text again implies that the angels were released to the city, and they all didn't just team rocket away to some undisclosed location as was indicated in the story. They stayed and remarked on the demon's handcrafted, corrupted city and looked to redeem it. Again, nothing ever seen in the actual stories for the set. Angel of Suffering perhaps has the greatest example of the angels interacting with New Capenna after their release, having a much more somber and agitated position, saying, quote, "If you wish for blessings, mortals, ask your demon masters. We've given enough to your kind." This is some amazing world building because it notes the angels' grievance with the demons of the past and reflects on them being farmed for Halo afterwards. It was this card that made me upset that this plot wasn't explored in the actual story. The card gives us just a snapshot of the world post New Capenna's story, and it's one so interesting and worthy of exploration. A city once blessed by the angels, now filled with those same angels who had been abused and sapped of their essence by a populace unknowingly. There is so much room here for story development, and it all stems from angels actually having cards in the set itself. If you were to read the story, you would expect from the writing that angels would no longer take place in the day-to-day activities of New Capenna, that they had left to find or perhaps start something new, maybe revive the shattered world outside the city's barrier. But all these cards, all the angels we get in the New Capenna set, indicate that they continued on, and us not having a greater idea of the consequences of their release, it feels just as hollow as their now empty statue prisons. This disconnect, the feeling that the cards tell a story that differs from the story we got, isn't a new thing in MTG. Remember Ikoria? That set essentially saw an entirely new story be told through the cards, with major events, story spotlights, all occurring that don't actually happen in the official story. While this instance with angels on New Capenna isn't as extreme, it points to a growing trend from the story team, omitting huge points of plot or world building because of a rushed timeline. And believe me, the Streets of New Capenna, the way it wrapped up as quickly as it did, it feels super rushed, and this was probably just an extended consequence of that. These cards lead me to believe that there was more planned for the story of New Capenna, that maybe Elspeth stayed on to see the world, watch the city change. After the threat of Obnixilis was removed, all their fates, the fates of the families, of the angels, of the city itself, were left in complete limbo. This isn't just an angel problem for New Capenna, it's a pacing problem for all of Magic the Gathering. If I were to have a say in perhaps cleaning up the story of New Capenna, I would 100% add in details of the city post-main storyline. Get the reaction of many legendary creatures on seeing the angels return after being gone for so long. Have the angels meet with the various families and their interactions with their heads who had been blessed by the demons who betrayed them. Explain how the people react to what Halo was and its origins. Do they have any regrets for what they did unknowingly? How does a city that runs off the production and trade of Halo exist now that that Halo is completely removed from the equation? Do the angels indeed stick around New Capenna as these cards suggest, and what do they do? Do they dismantle the criminal families and restore traditional order based on laws rather than powerful families just respecting one another? Life here would change so much, especially as everyone would lose access to Halo. It's tied to all their power. Now it's gone and the angels won't give up anymore. Maybe some rogue outfits try to capture angels and farm more Halo. Maybe the angels make their own line of families to counter the demon families, resulting in a war for the very soul of the city. But none of this happens. All of it is left to speculation as Elspeth believes the fate of this city to be one of ruin. And she just leaves, leaving us to believe the same, and all the story potential goes to ruin with it. I'm going to make a larger video dissecting all the issues I had with the story of New Capenna. This is only a small precursor, but I think it speaks to the overall feel people in the Vorthos community have had towards more modern MTG storylines. This story needed at least 3 more articles written to help build up its conclusion, and perhaps even a few to flesh out the prologue that these angel cards were clearly alluding to. But like the story of Ikoria, an attempt to force everything to fit, we're left feeling like something was missing. Not understanding why we have angels in the set at all, and continuing to break players' interest in exploring the lore as part of their MTG hobby. Streets of New Capenna does have an angel problem, and angels being in the set, but not very prominent in the story, is just another disconnect that leaves us as Vorthos fans feeling as if we didn't get the full story. I hope that the rushed feeling that we got from New Capenna, this feeling that we didn't get a satisfying conclusion, that there was more that needed to be said that we just didn't get, is something that the story team is moving away from in future sets for Magic the Gathering, although I kinda don't see that happening. Now, I'm not a professional writer, and I'm not saying I have all the ideas or all the solutions, and I'm certainly not knocking the actual writers doing the story articles. They're doing the best with the material that they're given from Wizards of the Coast under their timeline. So I really think this is more of a Wizards of the Coast problem, as they're not really seeing the value or investing in the story aspect of their game. I think it's something that's been on their back burner ever since the debacle that was War of the Spark, but they still have managed to hit some home runs. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty was really good. It's been loved by almost everybody in the Vorthos community and me personally, so they can do it. It's still in there, but we just didn't get that same love for Streets of New Capenna. Anyway guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me in this video. If you enjoyed it, please support our little community here by leaving it a like, becoming a subscriber, and of course sharing it with your friends. It really goes a long way in helping guys. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see ya!